and flow, time of the month, crimson tide. How about just your period? Have you ever wondered where it all started? I'm Alyssa Stein, a historian and author, and this is a brief history of periods with you by Kotex. It's amazing to think that 100 years ago, there were no products on the market for women and their periods. Women had to use things they found at home, like old rags and whatever they had around the house. But in 1921, Kotex put the first pads on the market. They were made from a material that had been discovered during World War I for bandages for soldiers. Nurses found that it was really absorbent, and then Kotex put it out on the market. They were sold in a quiet blue box, and women would hand money to a salesperson and take the box away without acknowledging really what it was. In the 30s and 40s, Kotex started a program working with schools all across the country, bringing in educational materials. Through films, through printed material, through samples that girls could keep at home until they got their first periods, they took the conversation that was often uncomfortable or not had at all between mothers and their daughters and brought it into classrooms. In the 40s and 50s, Kotex did something that was truly revolutionary. During World War II, when more men were overseas and women stepped up and filled those jobs, Kotex created the Wonder Belt, and that made it easier to keep pads in place, which sounds archaic now, but at the time was groundbreaking and made it much easier for women to be out of the house for longer periods of time. In the 1970s, there was another innovation into period management: adhesive strips. It meant women didn't have to wear belts anymore, and it really changed the way that women dealt with their periods because they had a lot more freedom. Not being tied literally to a belt anymore, this really opened up the world for women to play sports, to be more active, and the period management supplies became much smaller and more comfortable to wear and use. So the box New Freedom by Kotex truly meant new freedom for women. In the 1990s, You by Kotex took a tremendous step forward by showing actual product on their packaging. And we finally saw a pad on the box. Before then, advertising and product development used euphemisms and words that we were all trained to know. By showing actual product on a box, it really started to change the conversation and made it a bit more easy. In the 2000s, for the very first time, red liquid was used in advertising. And that was shocking because we had been trained for so many decades to see period materials with this blue liquid that had nothing to do with bodily function. So it's a very brave thing for Kotex to undertake, to say, you know what, we're gonna show what actually is instead of pretending it is something different. For the past 100 years, You by Kotex has been developing better and better products to put out on the marketplace. In fact, right now they have pads with raised centers that better fit people's vulvas and absorb faster than ever before. There has always been stigma and shame about menstruation and periods, and it's really important to keep talking about it because that's what's going to make change happen. The more we discuss, the more we can change mindsets and the way we feel about our periods and our bodies.